pretty interesting ones, too. I think there's some good contention in the races today, much like yesterday when we had a lot of lukewarm favorites. 4 of them won, but we did have some long shots as well. So good competitive cards this week.
That's 2 days in a row where the racing's been really competitive, and sometimes, you don't look as smart as you want to look, but that's what we want. We want competitive racing, and we've definitely had that the last 2 days.
I took a few shots yesterday, went a little loopy on a couple of the picks. They didn't necessarily turn out, but the races that we thought were just toss-ups, in fact, generally were toss-ups yesterday. And oddly enough, I was telling Rick this earlier, the last 2 days, and I doubt this will happen today because the last race is a stakes event for fillies and mares, but last 2 days, the last race of the day on the turf, the final race on the card, has gone to the longest shot in the race. Now, that's different conditions every day. It most likely won't happen today, but made the super high 5 very hard to hit with the big long shots hitting in the last race.
Yeah, and I just want to quickly mention, for those that are really into the game, the Belmont yesterday, Sovereignty proving the Kentucky Derby was far from a fluke, dominating in the Belmont. And, for those that buy racing forms, he earned a 109 buyer speed figure in his Belmont win, and looks like he's going to be the horse this year.
That's really legit. In the history of the buyers, do you recall, the highest number? Is there a high, a Roger Maris, Mark McGuire home run total number? Or have they gotten up as high as around the 1-teens?
That we've definitely had in the high 120s.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
wow.
Definitely. Recent history, too. The horse that won the Breeders' Cup, very fast California horse, very fast. I can't think of his name right now.
Breeders'
Doggone
Cup
it.
Classic.
Yeah, but he was just unbelievably fast horse. It wasn't a Baffert horse either.
Was it Sadler?
Yes, there you go.
He had a really fast horse. Yes. I can't remember the name either. It was fairly recent that just short career, but just
he may have won 6 or 7 maybe,
something
or all
like
6, or it was crazy. But
when you're discussing your picks for the first race, I'll look that up.
Yeah, his buyer figures though were at least twice ran in the 20s. It was by far the fastest horse to carry his speed we'd seen in a very long time. So
we'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I'm a little embarrassed. I don't remember his name right now.
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't remember.
Phenomenal talent, though.
All right, on to race number 1. First race, and they're all Texas breds today. Optional claimer, you can be in for $50,000, which a couple of them are, or you could be a non-winner of 2 life. They're going 6.5 furlongs. I think there's a very logical favorite in here, and we've both taken him. And you bolded him in your picks on page 6 of the program in Golden Grit.
Yeah, I got through and I realized I had a long shot. I didn't have a best bet. And I went back to the first race and I thought, wow, unless Bergheim runs, a race he's capable of, Golden Grit, looks really good. Added blinkers 3 races ago. He wins the Jim's Orbit at 10-1, first time in blinkers. Then they tried turf. You can draw a line through that. Came back at this exact same condition his first start at this meeting, and he dominates this field, and many of his contenders today finished well behind him on that start. I also like that he's had 3 really nice breezes since that victory, so based on the fact he's beat these same horses, had 3 sharp work since then, I definitely like him. But, Bergheim, when he was 6-5 against Golden Grit last time, and it was a sloppy racetrack. So you might be able to make a case that it was more of the surface than Golden Grit, being so sharp. So if that's the case, you certainly like the fact that Bergheim's been in with Cole Battle, multiple greatest stakes winner, and Jolly Samurai. So he's definitely faced the best competition.
Yeah. My issue with Bergheim is just, he had every chance last time to go on by and get him, and he couldn't. But like you say, he has a really nice body of work, and I probably shouldn't have put him 4th, but I kind of wanted to mention a couple of other horses in here. Raise the bar for Asmussen, adds Lasix, takes the blinkers off, comes from Kentucky and Hot Springs, did break his maiden in one of those non-buyer short 2-year-old races at Keeneland last year, and he did that on the slop, but then he was pitched in 2 stakes, way too tough. He could come back okay. He seems to be working pretty well for Steve. Road Racer, another one who's won both of his starts. All he's done so far, a year apart, is go out and win. So there's some interesting ones in there, but it looks like Golden Grit. I mean, just off his recent form, sprinting recent form is should be tough.
Yeah, and he's been versatile. He's won on the lead. He's won from off the pace. So he's the one to beat. Not a cinch, but he's definitely the one to beat.
We've got an answer on some of this. Was the Sadler horse Accelerate?
No, it wasn't.
Boy, Accelerate was a fantastic horse, though, and he did win a Breeders' Cup race.
Yeah.
He won Flightline.
There you go.
That's it. Thank you, Dylan. Flightline was the one we were talking about.
Yes.
But I'll tell you what, Accelerate was pretty darn good, too. He won the Breeders' Cup Classic also and won 10 of 23. Also, Brandon points out Ghost Zapper had a 128 buyer here in the Breeders' Cup Classic in 04.
04, yeah. Yeah, he was amazing.
And that's pretty good, too. Flightline, good call. But, boy, the thing about Sadler, I mean, I know him. He was a young trainer when I was out in California. To have had both of those, and we don't even automatically think of him. I mean, those were 2 outstanding racehorses of recent vintage.
Yeah.
On to the second. Fillies and Mares 3 and up. A non-conditioned allowance event for Texas-bred fillies. Scratched the 6 Midshipman's Lady and scratched the 3-year-old filly that I liked in here, a Wanika. She is out. She was the lone 3-year-old filly in here, and I had her on top. But I'm okay. I mean, I scratched into a little bit of a long shot in Bling Baby, but you're going with another bold-faced pick in Uptown Bling at Home.
Yeah, this is my superfecta key horse of the day. This mare, 8 years old now, really a picture of consistency on turf. In the exacta in 9 of 13 turf sprints. A really good record here at Lone Star Park as well. They had a nice return in 2025 here this winter at Houston, and an open optional claimer, really talented field there. Was bet down to 7-2. Ran a really good race, considers open company, beating only 2 lengths. Got a strong 80 buyer figure. Ran in the Chicken Fried last year over this course, was 22-1 because the field was so strong, and finished second behind Overcharge too. If you were here that day, Overcharge was, I think, 2-5. So, nobody was supposed to beat that mare on that day, and Uptown Bling at Home ran a, terrific race. Couple dirt races kind of muddy up her form a little bit. Now back to what she does best, turf sprinting, back in with her friends, Texas bred. So I'm going to make her the one to beat.
Yeah, she's clearly the one to beat. I'm going to try to beat her with Bling Baby. First time on the turf. One thing about Bling Baby, disregard that May 24th work at the Churchill training track. That was a misidentification error in Louisville. We pointed that out this week, and they checked, and they didn't ship her all the way to Churchill for a work or to find a spot for her. So Bling Baby did not work on May 24th at Churchill. Her last win here was really impressive. It was against Open Company. It was a narrow win, but she's another one with a versatile style. She's fast. I'm going to give her a shot first on the turf, maybe hope for a little bit of a price.
Mm-hmm.
On to race 3. Texas-bred 3-year-old fillies exclusively in here. 2-year-old fillies. And there are a number of scratches out of here, but it's still a really interesting race. 5/8 of a mile for these young 2-year-olds. Scratch the 4, Scattered Mischief. The 7, Warriors Code. The 9, Up in the Blue, who's going to run in the 2-year-old filly stakes race later. And the horse I actually had on top originally, who comes from a family of precocious runners, Smart Sense, the 10, she's out. I scratch into a Gellner, and you're taking a trainer that I have a lot of respect for, but I just can't get a read on his 2-year-olds very often because they tend to not come in with a lot of long works, and that is J.R. Caldwell.
Yeah, I wish I had. I mean, I have almost no clocking information on these. They just happen to. They either breezed early in the week on weekdays when I'm not clocking. So I'm kind of going off what most people are stuck doing. I like the 6-0 quicks for a few reasons. First of all, Cinco Charlie, Texas Stallion. I mean, he seems like he's throwing precocious runners. You see City Zip on the bottom. That's about as fast as you can get. So certainly bred for speed. Did bring a decent amount of money, $25,000. First breeze here was a bullet for Caldwell. And I'm with Jim. I mean, he's kind of hard to get in step with because he likes the short breezes. But that gate work, 36 flat, was the fastest of 12 that day. Entered him in a stake, or her in a stake, so I assume he was thinking if that stake came up soft enough, I might be able to win. Yeah. And in his mind, obviously, it came up a little strong, so he's taken for what I would hope would be more of a layup situation, assuming that she's going to end up being stake caliber one day.
And she may end up with all these scratches being a relatively short price. I hope she's not a layup, but because I passed on layups in the past, but I'm going to go with Judy Gemstone, the 8. A half to a couple of horses who have been winners. Nothing fancy. Dustin's Denial, who just broke his maiden here Memorial Day weekend, and a filly named Kitty's Heart in Denial. The Dam, Cat in Denial, was a 4-time winner and one second time out. That was a Louisiana bred for Mindy Willis. I don't know. I mean, Gellner is good with firsters. This firster has a little bit more extensive work tab than Quicks, but that doesn't always mean anything. They put a couple of gate works into her. Maybe she'll avoid that bugaboo that some firsters have, that they get out bad. So I'm gonna take her in a race now that the only filly with any experience is Swift Like Taylor, who just, she didn't do much running at Churchill, came here. I picked her first Lasix, and she didn't do much running here either on the 24th. She's liable to improve, but I don't know.
One thing I will say about Judy Gemstone, even though, that 49-1 worked, Gellner unleashed, one of the fastest 2-year-old winners we've seen here in a couple seasons earlier at this same meeting, and I didn't pick the horse because the workouts looked kind of like Judy's Gemstone. I mean, and I actually clocked one of that horse's works, and I actually clocked this one too. And it just didn't grab my attention.
Yeah.
But my point being, Gellner's already unleashed a horse with what I'd call decent works, but was very impressive maybe 3 weeks ago.
I think that was a Norman Stables horse.
Like more Force or something
more
like
something,
that.
Yeah. We're not very good today on remembering names, are we? On to the 4th, start of the Pick 5. $1,132 in the Pick 5 carryover. Scratch the 5, My Little Prince. These are conditioned $5,000 claimers at 6 furlongs.
Yeah, and I'm back with Caldwell, back-to-back. Sunday Bling, the 9, really likes his track. 8 starts, 3 victories. Last time out, which was only his second start after a long layoff, finished 3rd. That was open, 6250 claimers, now back in with state-bred rivals, so this is, a drop in class. One thing I did notice, looking at her form from last year, it took, 4 races to get this horse back into gear. He's older now. Maybe he has to be trained up into reaching peak conditions. So last year it took 4 starts to find the winner's circle. This year, Sunday Bling's making his 3rd start off a nice effort, and again, dropping in with Texas bred. So I think Sunday Bling, with good early speed, outside draw, so, if the inside horses don't break well, he might go right to the front, but he should rate comfortably if one of the inside horses breaks real alertly.
Yeah. And, he's proven he can beat Open Company and does it relatively regularly. I also use Nightwind in there as a second pick. Turns back from 2-turn tries, one on the turf, one not. Gets back to a sprint. He might not really be a true sprint type, but I just think turning back, he might be able to run a little bit late for a barn that's Scott Young's barn's really heated up lately. And then, of course, Lucky Promise. generally gets some attention and has had a trainer change over to Austin Gustafson. So I threw him in there as well, as you did. Okay, on to the stakes portion of the program, race 5. I think this is really tough. 1 mile and a 16th on the turf. All older horses drew into this. Take out the 7 Silence Doro, also the 2 main track onlys, the 11 and 12. And I'm going to try a horse with no real proven turf experience in here in Victory for Vets, just hoping his incredible form of late will be enough to carry him over the grass. You're going with a guy that is quite proven in More Victory on the turf and on this turf course as well in More Victory.
Yeah, and I guess we both have Sunlit Song picked second.
I've got him actually third, which breaks my heart because, as I said yesterday, I don't think I've ever not picked him on top in his illustrious 49-race career, of which he's run here probably close to half that, or a third of that.
He's been almost unbeatable here.
And, I mean, if he wins, I'll be ecstatic.
Yeah, I'll be happy, actually. I'll be good with it.
But, I think Regal Turca has a big shot in here as well.
Yeah, I took More Victory. He won the Assault here last year pretty comfortably. And if you go through his form, his only poor race was in the Remington Green. That was his only start without Lasix. He moved forward, and just his record at Lone Star and his record at the distance is really good. I noticed that Houston, I put Houston in a little frown face in my notes. If you draw a line through every race he's ever run at Houston.
I did the same thing. I circled the Houston races, and uniformly they're not very good.
Yeah, he never runs well there. He runs well at Remington. He's more hit and miss at Remington, but he runs really well there, but he runs extremely well here. So, and I like the versatility. He'll be up in there, More Victory. He'll be close to the pace, so I'm going to go his direction.
I'm going to take Victory for Vets. I mean, he's run 3 times on the turf. They've all been kind of even fifths. And you got to go back a ways to one of those races, And he was beaten squarely by More Victory a year ago in the Assault here for Texas Breds, a similar race to this. I just think maybe he's hot enough now, and he'll be forwardly placed enough, if not straight up on the lead. Maybe he can do it. I don't know who really goes with him in this field, so I'm going to hope he can get out there. Of course, every time I say that, somebody else goes with him and cooks him. Like a couple of nights ago, I thought, this horse is going to make an easy lead, and the horse did jet out, and some long shot came up and ran with him for 3/4 of a mile, and they both checked out of it.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna try him. Calhoun and Cabrera have been so hot. It kills me to not leave not put Sunlit Song in there. He's 10 years old. He comes out of a race with Creative Minister, which was a great race. But More Victory and Regal Turca come out of that race too. So good race in general.
Yeah, I just Jolly Samurai. If you're into horses trying something for the first time, they're actually bred to do it. He's pretty interesting. Just a 3-year-old, but multiple stake winner. When I see Giant's Causeway at the top and Patty O'Prado on the bottom, I'm thinking this horse might really take to the turf. So, and you got Ramon Vasquez. It seems like he's making all the right decisions on who to ride in all these races.
Well, and that's a key thing. You don't want to pick a horse because of the rider, but anymore, it just seems like when somebody secures his services, they seem to have a very live horse. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a video here in race 6. This is the filly division of the Texas Stallion Stakes. There is no colt division this year. 5 furlongs. We're going to watch the 2 key contenders, but the thing to watch here is watch number 5 when they come out of there. That'll be Texas Speed Queen. She'll be visible because she'll be dead last when they leave out of there. She's in lime green silks. Boom, there she is, dead last, in a 2-year-old race with a bunch of firsters. I don't want to be left like that.
No.
Now, Lucky Dice is ranging up number 7 here to battle for the lead. So let's forget about her for a second. Look at that 5 horse who's laying 5th right now. She has already surpassed those back 2. She's about to pass that middle flight. She's gaining on the outside into 4th now, the horse we're watching. That's Texas Speed Queen. She's going to come for home, so she's gotten the worst of the break. Now she's 4 wide. The horse in the yellow just inside of her is Real Good Game. I'm pretty sure she was favored that day.
Mm-hmm.
Lucky Dice, or Kiss My Dice, is the one on the lead now. Now, the 5 horse is going to flatten a little bit late here, and the Lucky Dice is going to beat the 6 but get disqualified for bumping her near the wire. Okay, we both picked the 5 in this spot today to turn the tables on Kiss My Dice. Kiss My Dice did win that race, but was disqualified. It wasn't a real dramatic incident on the pan shot, but it was more so on the head-on. Disqualified and placed second. I just think Texas Speed Queen might have been best in that race. I mean, she got out kicked a little late, but look at all the trouble she had, so I'm taking her right back.
Yeah, when I looked at the head-on, I wrote reared. I mean, definitely came up. I mean, that was a terrible start. Gained evenly late. I mean, come on. I mean, the short comment.
Yeah, I think the
terrible.
short comment is a little misleading.
Yeah, that's terrible. I mean, there's only one thing you need to put in there, and that to me was like reared slightly or reared. I mean, it's a terrible start.
I think she showed good talent though to get up
big
in the
time.
race.
That's why I picked her. You get a really good. Caldwell going to Elliott. I mean, they're winning at 31%.
Right.
So
I mean, you lose Vasquez, but you gain Elliott.
Yeah.
That's a. For me, it's an even.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, Kiss My Dice, the reason I still think might go favored, I loved her tenacity in that game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, 2-year-old setting a 22-2 opening quarter, and believe me, that's not a straightaway at this distance. That's turn time. So she's really quick, and I appreciate a filly that wanted to win as bad as she did. I mean that,
and did in fact get to the wire first.
Yeah,
even if she did move out a little. But
exactly, she's not going to let anyone buy her. And it'd be interesting to see. She'll be a little more fit today. See if Kiss My Dice can show such tenacity 2 starts in a row. But I do think if Texas Speed Queen just breaks with the field based on one race, she could be a handful.
Yeah, I agree. And then the 6 horse. Has a great pedigree. A half to a horse named Drilling Report, who's 5 for 48, 223,000 earnings, and a half to a horse named Unified Report, who won his first 3 starts and made 274,000. So a Calhoun Cabrera firster there. I notice you don't have that horse. Probably means her works were not.
I got her third.
Okay. We're looking at the wrong race on the graphic. I'm sorry.
I will
Let's move ahead here on the 6th graphic so we can get our picks up there.
Closing speaker had a good
1-4-6-5 for both of us.
That May 31st work. I had the turn time of 24-1, which means she finished faster than she started. So normally I pick one like that. But the 2 with experience showed me a lot. It's a very tough call for me.
Yeah.
Calhoun's so good in this situation. I could easily see her fit enough and just go on and win. I mean, it's that type of race.
It's interesting that Mr. Speaker sired the 5 and the 6. Mr. Speaker was a Shug McGahee. He was a Grade 1 winner on the turf. Mr. Speaker was, but he was kind of a long-fused, long-winded turf horse.
Yeah.
I don't know if that translates to Texas bred first, early on too. Well, we'll see. They're well bred though.
Yep.
Okay, race 7, Wayne Hanks Memorial. Great sprinters, 6.5 furlongs. Scratch the 5, Josh's Dream. Big stick out in here. I got creative and incredibly tried to beat Too Much Action last time. That is not going to happen today. He won so nicely last time it wasn't even funny.
Yeah, his top nemesis is Dustum, but when you look at the races that Dustum has upset Too Much Action, they've been on wet tracks. Dustum's tremendous on a wet track, 5 out of 8, and Too Much Action despises a wet track. When they meet on a dry, fast track, Too Much Action, not every single time, but almost always beats Dustum, and Dustum's a very nice horse.
Yeah.
13 wins and $500,000 in earnings. So, he's legit. Karen Jacks has done a phenomenal job keeping this 7-year-old going at that type of level. Too Much Action is actually 6 himself, but he's in super good form. Those recent buyers are just terrific. And talk about consistency. If you draw a line through the Remington route, I mean, every race is in the upper 80s. If not, mid to upper 80s. He just runs the same race every time, and against Texas breds, that's almost always enough.
Yeah. He's literally one of the best, probably Texas bred sprinters in the time span of Lone Star Park. Now, I wasn't around the first 17 years or so, but I've been around the last 10, and he's a super good sprinter.
Yeah, where's Gary West when you need him? A historian on Texas breds.
Exactly. On we go to the 8th and final high five carryover, $6,752. That high five has been tough the last couple of days. We had a $75 winner win the last race Friday, and we had a 18-1 shot, so like a $37 winner win it yesterday, which seemed like a relatively short price by comparison. 7.5 on the turf, the Lane Zandani Shiflett Scholarship Stakes. These are fillies and mares 3 and up, and I've got this fixation with the 6 Stilettos, who is my favorite filly of recent vintage. I was going to take her and go down swinging in her first try on the turf, and her would have been her first try around 2 turns because that Churchill race she had was a 1-turn mile. But Stiletto scratched, so I scratch into the filly or the mare that I probably should have picked in the first place. But I'm a Lucky Charm. The only thing that worries me about her, and see if you notice this as well, sometimes she doesn't fire the first time back. It seems like as she gets older, maybe she needs a race. She seems to run better second time out. But that being said, you talk about a horse for course and just a good mare.
Yeah, good mare. Owner Carl Moore, he's been great friends with Calhoun and trained with Calhoun. I'm not saying he said, Brett, why don't you scratch Stiletto so I can make an easy early? But jokingly, of course, I'm saying that. But, my one concern with this was Stiletto's actually being in the race because I'm a Lucky Charm prefers to be on the lead or at least stalking a moderate pace. If this pace would have heated up, I think she'd have been pretty vulnerable. But the scratch of Stiletto's actually, I think, is a huge scratch in the favor of I'm a Lucky Charm for the reasons you mentioned. Loves to win, loves this course. 10 of 14 wins at this, abbreviated route distance. And now with the scratch, I think the pace will be much more kind to her. She's not a cinch by any stretch. I'm just saying I think it's going to be hers to win or lose. Blood Orange is in terrific form, back-to-back wins, including a recent stake victory in the San Jacinto at Houston, and has a pretty good record at Lone Star as well. There's places to go if you really feel like I'm a Lucky Charm may not get the distance today for some reason or another.
Only because the last couple times she's come back from little layoffs, she hasn't necessarily thrown her best race. That's why I was going to try Stilettos, but I noticed you didn't use Stilettos at all. So obviously there was something about, was it just that she doesn't have the 2-turn experience or the turf experience, or she's a 3-year-old taking on experienced older fillies and mares?
Yeah, it's the adage, don't take a shorter price on a horse to do something they've never done before, which would be older horses, new surface, new distance. That's a lot to take. Newness. That's a lot of new for a horse that was probably going to be in that 5 to 6 to 1 range.
Yeah, I agree. I just, I have a bias, so I can't help myself.
She's talented for sure.
I'm curious to see where they go with her next. I didn't realize it was going to be in this race when we talked about her last week. Okay, well, I agree. She was intriguing, but with her out of here, you do tend to have the same bunch going against I'm a Lucky Charm. It could be a very good day for Karen Jacks.
Yeah, I noticed Skyrocker for Mindy. Mindy, if she doesn't get it with Sunlit Song, if Skyrocker can beat I'm a Lucky Charm to the lead, she's run some races that looks like good enough, to maybe get it done here at a much better price.
Yeah, and sometimes these Stars of Texas days, especially when Sunlit Song was in his younger prime, were good days for her barn.
Oh,
she has
very
some good
much.
Texas spreads. All right. That is it. 33 minutes to post for the first. Thanks, as always, for everything.
Yeah.
And we will enjoy the day. Thanks a lot for looking in, and good luck this afternoon.
In the event of an emergency, Lone Star